Welcome back, Leaders Live. Charlie Stevens, your host. We had a great episode last week with Paul Galardi, CEO of Voxy. Key takeaway was life's a long journey, so always be thinking 2 steps ahead. Try to understand the skills you need to get better, nurture them, and then grow. Today, we're on 19th Street. We're gonna meet with the CEO of Climb Credit, Angela, over at 133 West 19th Street. It's starting to rain. Let's go. Cherry sponsoring the show. Cherry, data analytics platform helping real estate investors make decisions. Go to cherry.com, Cherry with an E. And our other sponsor is Entre Networking Group. Is a great group for entrepreneurs to connect at Microsoft's headquarters. If you're looking for a co-founder, engineer, anybody you want to work with, join Entre.com. That's it. Live, Charlie Stevens, your host, here with Angela, CEO of Climb Credit.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Welcome to the show. This is very exciting.
Happy to be here.
Yes, exactly. Before we get into what's going on with you, which is very exciting, a lot of good stuff, a lot of growth. Why are we doing the show? Understand how business leaders like yourself operate. Try to dissect that and really connect you with other people, whether it be on LinkedIn or within our community, and help you grow your business.
Great.
I think that's the plan. Before we again get into what's going on here, I want to encourage everybody to check in, make a comment, say hello, tag somebody who should be watching this, maybe another person within the fintech industry. They're going to get some gems out of this, and also submit some questions for Angela. Lexi's going to be asking the questions in a little bit, so submit the questions. If we don't get to them on the live, we will have the Climb Credit team answer them in the comments below.
Sounds good.
All right. I think we did it. Great guest today, Inc. 100's best female founders, CEO of Climb Credit. You were the founder of Orchard. Welcome to the show again. All right, let's get this going.
I'm so happy to be here.
Yes, exactly.
Hi to everybody who's watching.
I think I'm more excited at this point. Give us a little context before we get into Climb Credit. Let's talk about what you did in your past. I mean, you were in the risk management with Amex, Citibank, but let's talk about a little bit. You founded Orchard. Yep. Talk a little bit about that rise and how you created that company.
Sure. So the Amex and Citi experience was, as you said, risk management. My focus there was primarily on underwriting, so creating the models and algorithms, policies on who both consumers, and then at Citi was focused on small businesses, we would approve for additional credit. And I was there during the recession. Mm-hmm. So I started out 2005 and was at the combination of Citi and Amex through 2012. And so we really I had a front row seat to what was going on. Yeah. Not only in the financial system, from being within the financial system, but being an underwriting person who's looking at credit reports and helping make policy decisions. You also see what's going on sort of in the front lines and like the, as we say, Main Street. Mm-hmm. And it became really clear to me in that experience that the traditional credit markets weren't set up really that well to serve maybe like your average American or average small business owner. They're really set up more for like the prime consumer or the larger small business.
Right.
And so left in 2012 and along with several other co-founders started the company Orchard,
right.
Which you mentioned, which essentially was a software and data platform to help institutional investors who wanted to access the assets that were being generated on the various peer-to-peer lending platforms like Lending Club, Prosper, SoFi, OnDeck, Cabbage, Climb, to be able to scale their investments in those assets.
Right, right.
With the idea being that again, like enabling other institutions like non-bank lenders to be able to offer credit to pockets of both the kind of domestic and global economy that need credit is a good thing. And that, like using Cabbage as an example, who eventually bought Orchard, they were making small business loans leveraging APIs plugged into Amazon and Etsy and like other types of sort of online retailers to be able to make more efficient and more affordable loans for those small business owners than a traditional bank would be able to do. So that was what got me into the market.
You did a good job. You obviously grew it. You exited a successful exit, and you grew, 50 plus employees at the end of the run. Can you give us a takeaway from that cycle, or maybe someone that helped you grow that business that you take with you today to grow Climb?
Absolutely. So when I started Orchard and throughout my entire experience there, I was constantly doing things I had never done before. Almost by definition, my entire experience had been like running, I'd managed people, but I was like running risk teams, and now I'm, COO and CFO of a startup. And at first that's, means finding office space or, making a cute little Excel model. But at some point, like those things really do need to scale. You're hiring people. Those people want to understand what their career paths are. You're needing to figure out where you're going to allocate resources, and all those things required me to do things I'd never done before and to like access skills that I didn't yet have.
Right.
And so I'd say the biggest learning for me was to rely on mentors, and to, instead of seeing a problem that you've never solved before or a challenge that you've never seen before and having your first instinct be like, well, I've never done that, so I don't know how, to think, well, every problem has a solution. It's very unlikely that this is the first time that somebody's seen something like this. It's just I haven't. How do I go find the people who have seen this sort of thing so I can help sort of short circuit my learning process and get to the right answer more quickly? And so at Orchard, I had a number of advisors on both the operations side, the finance side, the strategic planning side of things, who I brought on in both sort of, I would say, like official and unofficial capacities to help me kind of solve and deal with the challenges as I face them. And now at Climb, I do the similar thing. It's just, in some of those same people still exist in my life, and now there's new people because I'm a CEO now, and so it's different challenges.
Anyone stand out to you? A mentor that really stood out that helped you grow this? Not to put you on the spot and pick one person, but anyone that left you with a lasting impression?
Yeah, of course. So I'll give a shout out to Brian Kane.
Okay.
He was a executive, ran client services at DoubleClick, and then was the COO of a number of different ad tech companies in New York, including LiveRail, I think was what it was called, and then AdMeld, of course, and now is the COO of a company called SourcePoint. And he had worked with Matt Burton, one of my co-founders, at Orchard, and Matt introduced me to him. I was, an aspiring COO, and Brian was a seasoned COO, and I still talk to him all the time. And he helps out with some of other people at Climb now, and he's a great guy. Really just a great mentor all around, like knows how to solve problems, but also get to like what the problem behind the problem is.
Diagnose it.
Yeah, or like okay, you have this challenge, but let's dig into that. And he's been just like an amazing resource to me, and friend.
Yeah, that's good.
So
it's good to have.
Yeah.
You need a lot of
So,
those.
yeah, I'll send this to him.
Yeah, like Vicky, she's a friend over here.
Yeah, Vicky's my friend too. Thanks, Vicky.
Let's talk about Climb Credit, right?
Yeah.
Let's talk about what it is, what's going on with it. Innovative student lending platform, obviously growing, doing well. You made the show. You must be like going crazy.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's huge news. But
We've got a sign.
Yeah, it's a beautiful sign. We got it behind us. But give us a little bit of the commercial. What
Sure.
exactly it is?
Sure. So Climb is an alternative student lender. We partner with non-traditional post-secondary education providers. So you can think anything from a coding boot camp to a truck driving school. We partner with schools like that, diligence them to make sure that their outcomes have a high ROI to the student who's attending.
Yeah.
And if they do, we become essentially their financing provider.
Gotcha.
So programs that are like these that tend to be lower cost, shorter duration, often don't have efficient financing options like the traditional education market that we might all think of does. And so often when we work with schools, we enable them for the first time to be able to provide affordable ways to access their school. So as an example, a school actually just up here in Manhattan, the Refrigeration Institute, we were there, some of the team members were there earlier today, is a HVAC repair and maintenance program. It's about $9,000 to attend. When we showed up, the only way to pay was either cash or large monthly installments every month.
It's tough, yeah.
Yeah, like there were like close to $2,000 monthly payments.
Yeah.
With Climb, we're able to provide much lower monthly payments because it's an actual loan that amortizes over 3.5 years, and be able to provide some liquidity up front to the school so they can invest back in their programs.
Right.
And no one had done that before in the market that we're in.
Yeah.
For a lot of reasons, partially that people often overlook this market or don't really have I would say a lot of knowledge about it and perceive it to be small or unimportant. And we've essentially taken the other tact and decided to create an entire company around that market to help sort of I would say 2/3 of high school graduates who don't go to college, the 40% of people who go to college and don't finish within 6 years, all of the kind of adult workers who are looking to enter a new career, earn more money in their existing career. This type of education is available to all those people and I think deserves its own set of services and financial services.
Yeah, 100%.
To help it scale.
What other industries are you helping out? I mean, you mentioned the HVAC, the secondary education sector, right?
Yeah.
What else are there?
Yeah, so our schools and the vocations that we cover fit into 3 kind of categories. The first is technology training. So that could be anything from like hardcore data science programs for people who already have a PhD, all the way to like entry-level IT, cybersecurity type programs. So that's technology training. Then move into sort of trades, which is everything from heavy equipment operations, trucking, HVAC repair and maintenance, electrician programs, and then finally is health and wellness. That's everything like you go to the doctor or a hospital, everybody who's not a doctor, all the way down, and then some cosmetology and massage therapy programs, acupuncture, that sort of thing.
Right. A little white space, I guess you found within here, helping them out.
Sure
I
did.
like that. Let's talk about, the growth of a company, scaling a company. You did this with Orchard and what you're doing here. How you've brought this company to the level it's at right now, and how you look at scaling a company, maybe hiring, but thoughts on that?
Yeah, I would say first of all, it's like not a one-size-fits-all type of program. Like every company is very different. But I think like the first and foremost, know what your value prop is and know who your customers are, and be really targeted about making sure that not only you're delivering value to those customers, but that you're iterating on that value. So one of the things that I think can be really challenging for early stage companies is you like get a product into market and people like it, and then you get everybody who would like the product you have signed up. Then there's a question of how do you get that like next slice of the market where maybe the product you've created isn't quite what they're looking for, and how do you show the existing market that you've already brought on that you can improve and continue to add value. And like figuring out how to deploy resources against those two things is really complicated. But is always, I would say, is a important exercise around sort of like prioritization and like what are the opportunities that are out there. So I'd say, like, as an example, at any given time, you're going to be getting a lot of feedback, right? As a CEO or someone in a market-facing team, you're going to be getting a lot of feedback about ways that your product could be improved to make your current customers or current market happier or more satisfied. But you're also going to be getting other feedback from other segments of the market that you're not yet in as to how you could make adjustments to your product to serve them in ways that maybe you aren't right now.
Yeah.
And I think one of the mistakes a lot of companies make is they either try and do both poorly, or they don't understand the trade-offs between the two and pick the wrong one. Right? And so one of the big questions is like, just because your customers are asking for something doesn't necessarily mean you need to deliver it to them tomorrow.
Well, it's how do you prioritize it?
Exactly.
How do you understand the data, analyze it, and figure out which path you want to go.
Right. And then simultaneously, just because the market is asking for something doesn't mean you should go like divert all of your resources to building it. So like usually I think the answer is some combination of the two. Like you need, like if you are in the business to continue offering products and services to the market that you're in, it needs to always be improving, even if it's marginal. Like no one ever wants to be buying something or partnered with somebody who's just like stasis. But you also, if you want to be high growth, you need to be making sure that you're bringing in more addressable market over time so that you can sustain the growth and maintain it. So
Most important, very
yes.
Maintaining it, right?
Yeah, sustain, maintain.
Sustain, maintain, I like that. The company culture here, I think it's something we talk about sometimes, most every show, but the company culture here at Climb Credit, and what are some of the core values and what do you look at to bring this team together, right? Yeah,
so we have a really collaborative culture. Try and given the product that we're offering, it's pretty complicated. Like first we have to make sure the schools are good, then we got to make sure the students who go there know about Climb. We got to make sure that our debt capital investors who have given us money to then lend out to these students are happy in getting information. We got to make sure the technology product works for all involved. So it's a cross-functional business by nature. And so a couple of the things that we really look for when we're hiring people and I would say, onboarding people and making sure that they're going to kind of fit within Climb is like, are you interested in collaborating cross-functionally with people who have jobs different than yours? And how important is our mission, which is to expand access to career advancing education? How important is that to you? Everybody that works here has bought into the fact that the market that we're serving is really important, and that sort of the status quo of higher education is broken, and that we want to be part of the solution. We want to create pathways for people that have been left out of the traditional system, that are affordable and have a return on investment. And so it's important to me and to I think everyone here that the people who work here are like bought into that. In terms of values, I actually did a values exercise not too long ago, like in the last 6 months or so. And I would say like we have 5 core values, but like the 3 that I think really stand out the most and are like spoken about the most is, the first one is learners first. So we actually call our students learners because often they're not people who see themselves as students, right? They're someone who is still working full-time and taking part-time classes in order to kind of change careers. They're not like putting on a backpack with an apple in their hand going to school. And we also believe that like learning is a lifelong endeavor. It's really important to us and something that we've built into the culture. Everyone has credits to go back to school and take classes. We've had a number of different employees kind of move from one role to another, even though we're pretty small. So learners first is really important. Even though we work with the schools and that's kind of like our actual partner, the learners are our customers, and so making sure we understand their needs and challenges is super important to us. And then own the solution is another really important value that comes up a lot. Sort of like, it's so easy to identify problems. It's so easy to see the issues that exist in either within an organization, within society, whatever it is. But what's harder is trying to come up with the solutions.
Right.
But that's where the real magic happens, and that's like the work that we're trying to do.
Asking the right questions, like you said to your mentor before.
Yeah, like figure out what's really going on, and then like instead of just being a problem identifier, be a solution creator. And it's all right if your solution that you come up with is wrong or isn't the one that ends up being adopted, but just the act of thinking through the problem to a solution and then having sort of like the courage to bring that up creates the place for debate and decision making. And then I would say the final thing is succeed together, which was also a core value at Orchard that I like stole and brought here because it's so important. Like, we're all on the same team. At the end of the day, like, when you're a company, we're 47 employees or something like that. Like, hey, when you're this size, like, there isn't a world where like that person over there is really successful, but that person fails, right? It's like we're only going to succeed if we're doing it together, right? Especially when you're in a cross collaborative type of kind of environment and sort of business. And so it's just important that we're there for each other and we, impute the best intentions on people and, help each other out.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It's good you took it with you. It worked before. It's going to work again. It is working.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah, and you mentioned hiring too. I mean, I was on LinkedIn doing a little due diligence before this, and you have 9 jobs on LinkedIn. So if you're looking for a job, maybe check that out. You got some core values. This is a little tip. Look at this before you come in for the interview. Maybe it'll help you out. Partnerships and collaborations is a segment we like to talk about. What partnerships have worked in the past and why they have worked. I mean, you're partnering a lot of schools. Maybe that's what it is, or someone financing the this whole thing. But
Yeah.
What works for you? What works for?
So I think to make a partnership successful, everyone has to be getting something out of it. So I think where we've seen success, especially with our schools, is the schools where we're helping them grow. That's what we tell them that we're going to do. The students, the learners who are getting through the program have a good experience with Climb, and where we are similarly able to make the money we want to make through that partnership, and grow, right? So the best partnerships are ones that are mutually beneficial, where if you asked anyone within that partnership, so again, like with the schools, if you went to the school and said, like, how is your partnership with Climb? The answer would be overwhelmingly, it's great. They help us do X, Y, and Z. And if you came to Climb, you say, how's your partnership with the school? We'd say, it's great. They enable us to do X, Y, and Z. And those don't have to be the same things, right? But they need to be things. And where I've seen partnerships not work is where either one side of the equation isn't getting anything out of it, or maybe even it's like bad, right? Like they're getting something bad out of it. But I actually feel like most partnerships fail in that kind of middle territory where, it's not a strategic objective or priority, or, you're not doing a lot of volume, or whatever it is that someone is an important metric to the partner, they're not seeing it. And if that's the case, it's going to fade away.
Right. Just got to identify and communicate it with them so everybody knows we're all on the same page.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. And so I guess how do you cultivate good partnerships both at the beginning and throughout is through knowing what the important things are, the KPIs, whatever it is, to the partner, the person that you're looking to partner with, the firm that you're looking to partner with, and making sure you can deliver on that, both at the outset, like, is this something we can actually deliver on, and then maintaining that.
Right. We're going to take questions in a little bit. I just want to put that out there so people can continue to submit questions.
Are people submitting questions?
They're all over. It's going wild.
Really?
It's crazy. It's like wildfire.
How do you know that?
So I just feel it's 6 cents.
I believe you.
What kind of partnerships are you looking for in the future that maybe if somebody's watching on LinkedIn, they could reach out to you either wherever it is?
Schools. If you are a school, if you went to a school, if you know about a school that's offering career-changing education that has a high ROI to its learners, If you are interested in earning more money or advancing your career and considering going to school, we have a list of schools on our website that we work with.
Very helpful.
Check it out. And if you have any feedback on that product or how we're gathering information, send it to us. And then thirdly, anyone who's sort of focused on workforce development or future of work initiatives, companies or individuals who are interested in that, reach out, because that's where we really see ourselves in terms of like our place in the ecosystem.
Are those people within HR or like
HR. So if you run a company or work in HR at a company where you're looking to hire people with certain skills that we might cover,
right.
Are thinking about how you invest in your people, and creating unique kind of upskilling opportunities for your existing employees. All that's fair game.
Love that. Networking. How do you network? How do you grow your network? How do you kind of maintain and stay connected with them?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's kind of like it goes back a little bit to the partnership thing. So like, I think quality over quantity. So the way I typically think about networking is, I have my people that I know from my career, and just making sure that I stay in touch with those people when I have something relevant either to tell them, to ask them about, or to offer them.
Right.
So what I've found is that everyone's really busy, and you can have someone you haven't talked to in 5 years, but then if something pops up that's like a great kind of potential relationship restarter or collaboration, people are down to chat with you if you haven't talked to them. There was actually a woman who I worked with at Amex. I don't think I had seen her in like 7 or 8 years. And we were at she started a company, and we were both at this, at Common Bond, the student lender, down their office down in Soho, I think. Anyway, we were both presenting at like a women in business event, and it was like, oh my God, we haven't seen each other. And then we like got coffee after that, and we've connected. Anyway, so I think it doesn't have to be on purpose, and it doesn't have to be all of the time. But quality over quantity.
Okay. Good answer. Solid answer. Lexi, you had to weed through all these questions. I know it's tough, but what are some of the questions you get for
I don't believe anyone asked a question.
We have a question from Emily Klein. Thanks for your time,
Angela. I also work at a scaling startup, so it's great to hear your perspective. What advice do you have for young professional women who are just starting their career and may be looking to start their own business in the future?
So it's never been a better time to be a woman in startups and in business. I think we are getting our seat at the table. There are now so many initiatives around making sure that women are well represented. So I would say first and foremost, take advantage of those networks and those communities that are being created, because they're being created for a reason. And next is, I think, on the mentor side, like mentors and advisors have been so important to me in my career in figuring out kind of how I stage my next step and what I focus on. And so find those people. And they don't necessarily even have to be people that, are official mentors of yours. They could just be people that you meet through networking. And the best way to cultivate those relationships, again, quality over quantity. If you have a question or need some advice, be really organized in the way you ask it. Reach out, be sort of open to the fact that you're asking for someone's time and that you're going to use it really wisely, and you'll be surprised at how open I think people will be to give advice.
Are there any networking groups that you're a part of that you could recommend possibly for?
So I'm not like a part of any official networking groups, but I think I've gone to some I'm in education, I'm in fintech, but also ed tech.
Right.
And I've gone to, there's an EdLinks meetup that I've found is really helpful. So if anyone's in education, I would go to that. And then there are a couple fintech meetups, I forget the names,
Okay.
but that I thought, like Barclays, the incubator.
Rise,
they do some really good stuff that I've been to and spoken at. And then, there's some, like the Wing, female specific, the Wing does some really nice events for people who might be a little more senior chief I'm not a member. I'm not a member of Chief, but I know a lot of people who are, who speak really highly of it. So, and then there's a bunch of initiatives like Goldman's one of our financing partners. They have the whole Launch with GS. Again, this is like women and minority focused, but they have a whole initiative and they put on events and do things. So get those things on your radar. Follow them on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. Good tips, good stuff. We got another one.
Yes, a question from Chris Sterling.
Sterling, what percentage of loans does Credit Climb keep on its books, and what percentage does it sell to other lenders like Goldman Sachs?
We actually are a full off-balance sheet lender today. So we we take our loans and we partner with Goldman and other financing providers to put the capital into them that we raise from them. And that's essentially just to keep ourselves efficient. Raising equity capital when you're the size that we are and have been is very expensive to then turn around and put in loans. So that's how we've been able to scale.
Good. One more?
Yep,
Yeah,
one
more.
final question.
Our society has had a tremendous focus on traditional student loans for higher education, but as you mentioned previously, Climb focuses on post-secondary, non-traditional education. Are there any industries that you have not yet broken into that you would like to see Climb break through in the future?
Ooh, that's so good. I would say the area that I'm most interested in right now is airline pilots. We've dabbled in a little bit, but the programs tend to be a little bit more expensive than the ones. So our average tuition that we work with right now is $10,000. To be an airline pilot costs more than that, but it also is typically a full alternative to a kind of traditional four-year degree, and leads to pretty high earning potential.
Sure.
And there's a massive shortage that should scare all of us.
Oh, really?
Yes, of airline pilots. They're not enough. And so we're seeing an interesting trend in the industry that now airline carriers are starting to create their own schools to just solve the problem themselves, which I love.
Right.
But it's expensive to train someone to fly a plane. So we're working to figure out how we can, be part of that solution.
That's cool. I think my wife wants me to be a pilot. I don't know if it's to fly a private jet somewhere. I have this kind of possibility.
Be on the road.
Or she's watching too much Bachelor right now. Bachelorette.
I don't
Pilot
know.
Pete. I don't know. Vicky knows.
Vicky knows. I don't know.
Anyways.
Pilot Pete is like Mayor Pete, Pilot Pete.
As we wrap up, can you give words to live by, personal mantra, or ethos, and then?
My personal mantra. I would say it's, I don't know if this is super negative or not, but it's this too shall pass.
What does that mean to you?
It's actually, I would say it's a Jewish saying, so often it's said in Hebrew, but it also I think has roots in other sort of traditions that everything changes. So both the good and the bad. And so you should ground yourself in that, because if you do, then when good things go away, you'll be less disappointed.
Right.
And when bad things are happening, you can be more calm and serene in knowing that they will too go away.
All right. That's a good way to end it.
Yeah.
This too shall pass.
This too
and
shall. So will the show.
Unfortunately, we could stay here all day, but Nadal's gonna hit the music, and that's it. Appreciate your time.
I just want to say thank you
Yes.
to everybody who watched.
Yes.
Are you on the music already? No. Okay. I just I feel so humbled that people took time out of their day to watch this.
Let's break some records, Let's get some
I don't
numbers.
know, but even if we don't, thank you to everybody, and we'll take a look at the questions and try and get some answers. And yeah, let's change the post-secondary education paradigm.
Let's go.
All together.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you very much.
The happiness in music is undescribable. The happiness in music is inexplicable. Undescribable, indescribable, undescribable. The happiness in music is unconditional. undescribable.